If you had asked me a year ago to describe my marriage, I would have told you it was steady. Not perfect. Nothing ever is after almost 30 years. But strong enough to weather whatever came our way. I'm Patrick Hale, 56 years old, and I thought I knew my wife Diana better than anyone on this planet. We'd been married since we were both in our late 20s, raised our only daughter Rachel, and built a life together in a modest but comfortable home in Westbrook. We had history. We had a rhythm. We weren't the couple you'd see holding hands in the park, but we were the couple you'd count on to show up at every family birthday and anniversary. We were dependable. Rachel had married young, at 24, to Ethan, a guy I'd always thought was steady, maybe a little quiet, but good for her. He worked as a contractor. She taught at the elementary school. They bought a small house about 20 minutes from ours, and over time, they became the kind of couple you picture having barbecues and raising kids in the suburbs. I thought everything in our family was fine. Ethan had been laid up for a few weeks after knee surgery. I'd called him the week before to check in, and he'd mentioned Rachel was swamped at work. So one Thursday afternoon, I decided to swing by his place, maybe bring him some takeout and keep him company for a while. The day was chilly, the kind where the air feels heavy with the threat of rain. I drove down their quiet street, already planning what I'd pick up for lunch, when something caught my eye. A familiar blue SUV, Diana's SUV, parked just outside Ethan's gated driveway. At first, I thought maybe Rachel had car trouble and Diana had come to help. But as I slowed down, I noticed Rachel's white sedan wasn't there. Only Ethan's black pickup sat in the driveway. I pulled over, my mind trying to rationalize it. Maybe Diana was dropping something off for Rachel. Maybe she was visiting Ethan for some innocent reason. Still, something about the sight made my stomach tighten. The gate was slightly ajar. I pushed it open and stepped inside, calling out, "Ethan, you home?" No answer. I walked up the driveway toward the side of the house, and that's when I heard it. Voices. Low. Urgent. I stopped, listening. "You can't keep texting me like this," a woman said. I'd know that voice anywhere. Diana. Ethan's voice followed, casual but tinged with something I couldn't quite name. "You didn't seem to mind last week?" A cold wave rolled over me. "This is wrong," Diana said. "Patrick can't know." There was a pause, and then Ethan's voice again, softer. "It's just fun. No one gets hurt." The words were so sharp, I felt them in my chest. My breathing quickened, and my palms went cold. I pressed myself against the side of the house, every muscle tense. I didn't confront them. I wish I could say I stormed in there and demanded answers, but the truth is, I felt like the ground had been yanked out from under me. I turned and walked back to my truck, every step feeling heavier than the last. The short drive home felt endless. I kept replaying the words in my head, dissecting them, trying to find a way they could mean something else. When I walked in the door, Diana was in the kitchen, humming while she stirred a pot of soup. She looked up, smiled, asked how my day was. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. And for a moment, I almost believed I'd imagined it. But then the changes started to show. Diana, who used to leave her phone charging on the kitchen counter, now carried it everywhere, even to the bathroom. She had more errands to run, often in the afternoons. One evening, I noticed she came home smelling faintly of cologne. Not mine. I told myself I needed proof before I confronted her. That's when I remembered the tablet we shared. Diana often used it to read news or browse recipes. One afternoon while she was in the shower, I opened it. The messages were there. Dozens of them. At first, they were vague enough to pass off as friendly. "Had a great time today," or "Thanks for stopping by." But as I scrolled, they became more obvious. Inside jokes I didn't understand. References to last time and next time. And then one message that made my stomach drop completely. "Ethan, still thinking about the way you looked the other day. I decided to wait until Friday night after dinner, when the house was quiet. We sat at the table, our plates pushed aside. I looked at her, steady. I saw your car at Ethan's last week. Her fork froze midair. Oh? Rachel asked me to check in on him. I also heard you on the porch, I said, and I've seen the messages. The color drained from her face. Patrick, I know enough, I interrupted. You've been sneaking around with our daughter's husband. She tried to deny it at first, but when I mentioned specific phrases from the texts, her eyes dropped to the table. It wasn't serious, she muttered. We were just bored. It was attention, that's all. I shook my head. You broke our marriage, Diana, and you betrayed Rachel. There's no coming back from that. The next day, I drove to Rachel's school and asked her to come with me for coffee. She could tell something was wrong. When I told her, her face went pale and her hands trembled around her cup. Dad, you're sure? I nodded. I wish I wasn't. She didn't cry right away. She just sat there, silent, processing. Then she said, I can't go back to him. By that evening, she'd packed a bag and left Ethan. Diana moved in with her sister. We only spoke through lawyers after that. The divorce was quick. I didn't see the point in dragging it out. Ethan tried to call me once, but I let it go to voicemail. I didn't need to hear his excuses. Rachel stayed with me for a few months before finding her own apartment. The hurt in her eyes is something I'll never forget. I've replayed that afternoon in my mind countless times, wondering if there was a moment I could have changed the outcome. If I'd paid more attention, if I'd asked more questions earlier. But the truth is, some betrayals come out of nowhere. You can spend your life thinking you know someone, only to find out they're capable of something you'd never imagined. Now I focus on what I can control, rebuilding trust with Rachel, taking care of myself, and learning to be okay with starting over. The worst heartbreaks don't come from strangers. They come from the people you'd take a bullet for. And when that happens, the best thing you can do is walk away. Not to punish them, but to protect yourself.